Alright guys, we've been at it again for a good couple of hours. And look, we're down. No, we're down. Just over 1.8 metres is how far we're down. Now we've had a change in the clay structure. I'm starting to get what I was looking for, which is this sandstony clay type stuff. It's got a lot more resistance, a lot more bearing resistance in it. So I've just hit that, and look, realistically I'm probably about 1.6 down from ground level. Now when I built my veranda out the back, I had a geotech survey done because you might have noticed from my very first video the shots I showed you of my house that had collapsed. At the back end, the slab had cracked in half and actually dropped off the back end of the house. So I was told by a couple of civil engineers that there's nothing I could do. But I've got an excavator in, and as you'll see from the photos, if you go back and have a look, I excavated around the house, undercut down, poured concrete piers that are about 1.6 metres down, and lifted the house from those concrete piers. I think it was five piers I put down. So. And I hit the same stuff, but when I did my veranda, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to have any issues with the foundation, so I got a geotech survey done. It cost about $700, but it was well worth it. And I had to go a minimum 1.6, and that's around about where I've just hit this hard sandstony clay. What I also do, and it's a good indication, is I've got my little spike here. It's just got a bit of 6mm rod on it. When I've been going through the clay, up till now it just goes through like a hot knife through butter. But now, it's giving a fair bit of resistance. As a matter of fact, before, I bent the right, no I can't get it all the way in. So, we're really, yeah, there we go. Where before it would just sink down, as you can see there, up into the square quite easily. So I'm into some really good bearing clay now, which is what I got from all the piles, the 29 piles that I put down. I went down to this clay, so I'm going to go down another 200mm just to make sure that I'm well and truly embedded into it. And it cuts a lot differently too. It's a lot easier to cut compared to what that really stiff, sticky clay is. So put that down inside. I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, we're getting down a fair way. So move the bucket out a bit. See that? That's my wife with coffee right in front of the camera.
Oh.
You're right.
Well, I didn't say anything I didn't want to eat.
I love seeing the back of your head, Rose. Right, let's have a look at that. Hopefully you can see this when we pull it up. Now, before that clay was really sticky and horrid. If you have a look at this, it just falls out. Oops. I'll show you the difference. Actually, I might go handheld and bring it up a lot closer. You can see what this stuff looks like. And show you. So look, so you can see this stuff here. It's a very sandstony, loose sort of material, but it has a fairly high bearing strength on it. This is the stuff that I had been digging up, and it's just soft, mushy stuff that sticks like crazy to the auger. That's the central balls there, so you can sort of see there's quite a difference between this real sticky, soft stuff and this stuff that has a much higher bearing strength when I get into it. So I'm going to keep going to this a little bit deeper. So I'm happy we got there. We'll keep going a little bit further, and yeah, we'll bring you back. But this is a job that I've probably put off because I know it's going to hurt. I get up in the morning and I just absolutely ache, or I sit down and I can't get up again after doing a couple of hours of this. So anyway, we're getting close with this one. Righto, we'll bring you back when we're sort of at the depth I want, and we'll go through what we're doing next. Alright, I thought I'd bring you outside. It's a little bit easier to see in the daylight here, the differences between the clay. So this is this real crappy, soft, sticky, mucky clay. This is the stuff we're into now. It's more or less, it's more or less like a sandstone type sand. Much higher bearing loads on that, as the Geotech report brought out. So look, for $700, if you're going to put a shed up and you're halfway concerned about what's under the ground, spend the money, find out what's down there, and base your assumptions on how you're going to do your slab on what the report finds out for you. Don't be like me, where you find out 6 years down the track it's sunk 80 millimetres, and you've got to go through all this work to get it back level again. And it has been an absolute saga. And hopefully this will be the last two. I'll be right after this. I'll be happy to put a decent slab down on here and pin that back to the edge beam on the main slab, knowing that it's never going to move. I'll have a good foundry in here, so I can get back into what I like. There's Evie walking across the neighbour's roof. So yeah, you can sort of really see the difference in the clay structures, the clay types there. So as I said, I'm going to go another 200mm deeper, make sure I've bedded right in there, and then we'll go through the next stage of the process. But yeah, it's like chalk and cheese looking at it, isn't it? Alright guys, we'll be back soon. Alright, so we are a long way down there, and we've had a torrential storm last night. And I don't know, I must have hit a Chinaman in another life. Every time I seem to do this sort of foundation work, we get torrential rain, and I get water in the cores. This isn't too bad. I have had these when I was doing the other 29. We had torrential rain, and it actually filled up to the whole thing collapsed in, and it took me over a week to get it all cleaned out and down to some bearing soil. Same thing happened with my house. I was getting ready to start pouring the concrete piers to start jacking that up, and we had torrential rain, and it took me 3 weeks to get the cavities all cleaned out again so I could pour the concrete. And we've had rain, and what's happened is, you can see where that stormwater pipe is, the water's travelled along the outside of that and found its way in and dropped down. So I've got most of it cleaned out. It's pretty gooey stuff. But I'm right at the maximum length of my auger. I can't go down any deeper. I was trying to see if I could buy an extension, but the automotive stores don't go up to 3/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld an extension on. So what I've done is I've got a bit of 3/4 pipe. Now, because I haven't got my lathe, I can't. What I normally do is just bore out the nut to fit inside. But because I don't have my lathe, I've just used the grinder on this. Done it down, and I'll just bash it in with my hammer, and then I'll weld it into place. So, and then I'll weld it onto the end of the onto the drive end of my auger there. Give me the length I need, and I'll go down. I bought my rebar from my local sand soil supply place, so I'll make up the rebar packs. So just before I get ready to do the concrete, I'll dig my hole out, get all the soft stuff out, and then we'll pour it. Now I've decided I'm not going to use my bell mounting tool down here. If ever these piles have to come out, it's much easier just to pull them out. And I'll let you know a little secret that happened to me at the back here. Just something to give you guys a bit of a heads up what can go wrong if you get misinformation. Alright, well I'll go and get all that extension done, and we'll get that welded on, and we'll get our repacks made up, and we'll get rid of the concrete and get this finished off. I bought some foam that I'll punch into there, I'll show you how I'm going to do that, just to isolate that pipe from the main concrete. All right, guys. Yeah, well, I'll see you soon. Right, I'll show you this before I weld this extension on. So I've got that nut fitting on there, so I'm going to weld that nut into place, and I'm going to extend it. And what I'll do after I've extended it and bored this hole down, I'll cut that off ready for a standard hole size. So yeah, all those things. So I'll get that welded out. Once I've got that welded out, I'll start making up my rebar packs, and we'll start mixing some concrete. So that's my little $100 used welder I got from one of the Chinese supermarkets, and I have done so much work with this. I keep talking about it, and I just flog the guts out of this, and it's welds up to 3.2mm rods, no problems at all. Beautiful, beautiful job it does. Really good penetration. It's amazing how much power you can get out of such a little thing. It's half the size of an A4 sheet, so it's just very, very tiny. Oh, gosh, it's the bee's knees. All right, well, I'll weld these out. There, guys. So, oh gosh, it's 2.3 metres down, so we're down an awful long way. That's the foam in place. So I won't put that in until we get to that level with the concrete. Then I'll slip that into place, and that's just to isolate that stormwater pipe from the concrete. So if that concrete pile shifts in any way, it's not going to affect the stormwater pipe, which would crack. So it's important if you're doing this sort of stuff that you isolate any pipe work. And I had that with the sewage lines on my house when I did the jacking on the house. I had to foam those lines out when they came across the foundation settings. Alright, I'll take you outside and just show you the rebar packs and how they're going to look. So they're fairly straightforward. These rebar sticks are 1.8 metres long. I just put a ring in and put them around at thirds. Put 2 rings in, one at the top, one down the bottom, and I'll just tack weld them into place, and that becomes a rebar pack, and that's quite stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one up now, and then we're getting close to making up some concrete. Okay, right, so that's our rebar pack all made up, ready to go down the hole. And what I have done is I've actually pinned the foam back into place. I don't know if you can see them. They're called turf pegs. So for fake grass, they're quite low and spiky, and I've pinned the foam back in with that, so I'm going to leave that in there. I don't think it's going to move. I'll show you one of them. That's one of them there. So yeah, as I said, they're called turf spikes, and that pins that foam back in, blocks up all the gaps. So I've got a few of those in place. So alright, I'll get the rebar down inside, and we'll start mixing up some concrete and start getting it poured. Alright, I'll see you in a little while. Alright guys, so out the front yard at the moment. I'm mixing this concrete up. There's all sorts of formulas you can use for your mix. 1, 2 and 4, but I just go at 50-50 with sand and screening. So 3 of each, and shovel full of cement in. And that's worked quite well. It's easy to remember too. I've had no issues with that. So 2 piles to do, so I'm going to do this mix by hand. So a lot of mixing in my time in this barrow. So just do a quick dry mix first. Water in. I want this to be a fairly sloppy mix. I want it to flow fairly well. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up, and I'll bring you back when we're getting fairly close to having that pile up. This is going to take about 4 barrel loads to fill this pile up. So I'll get the mixing, and
and get this into place, and we'll bring you back when we're sort of pouring and vibrating this. We'll go in and get this loaded into the pile hole. We'll come back and do another barrel load. So I'm expecting about 4 of these anyway. Righto, so this is the 4th one. I don't quite need as much to get this one filled. I forgot the fact that this time I haven't got a bell mouth in the bottom with my bell mouthing tool, so I haven't used anywhere near as much as in the past. Right, we'll get the last bit in. Right, let's get the vibrator. Now, I bought this vibrator off eBay for $90 delivered, and bought it a long time ago, and it's the absolute bee's knees. If you're doing any concrete and you want to vibrate it in, these little things are the way to go. Just see how we are to depth there. There's the touch more, I reckon. The shovelful will do it. Yep, that'll just do it. Just swing that over. Alright, we'll bring you down, show you the final result, and we'll get cleaned up. Righto, so that's our hole. You see our foam's in place. You see, look at it. So that's protecting our stormwater. And that's it. So the salt plate goes down on top of that I put the screw jack down onto, so we'll have a look at that when we get closer. But that's it for now. A lot of concrete and mess to clean up here. If you don't get this cleaned up now, it's such a job to try and do later on. So we'll get all this cleaned up. Unfortunately, I've still got a little bit left over in the barrow, so I've got to go and dump that too. All right, I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll bring you back when we're starting to put the jacks underneath, or making the jacks anyway. I'll just do a couple of quick videos on how I make these strong back jacks up. Alright, we'll see you soon. Well, just before I pack it in for the day, I thought I'd show you this bell mouthing tool that I designed and made for those other 29 core holes or piles that I did So once the hole's been put in, it slides down the hole and it gets down to the bottom. Then you start rotating it. And as you rotate it, the blades come out until they're fully out. And you probably do this, I think, about 8 times it takes to actually get out the full diameter. And each time you do a cut and retract it, the blades pull the clay back into the bucket here, and you withdraw it out of the hole. And yeah, this worked beautifully, absolutely beautifully. So if you want to see more of this in action, you can go back to some of those older videos that I did. Yep. Saved a lot of heartache, and it opened out that base out to 1/2 metre, gave it a much better bearing area. As I said, on these ones here, I'm within 1 metre of the easement. I don't want to put these in there so close to the easement like this, in case they've had to come out. And I'll tell you about 2 piles that I had to pull out with some misinformation that I got from my local water sewerage trust establishment. And there's an awful lot of heartache. A lot of heartache, but I might talk about that more in the next video. What happened there? All right, so that's the bond looking tool. And, yeah, works beautifully. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one.